It's Isabel again. I'm just here to give you guys some tips and tricks and ways to be successful in the McNair program. So I have quite a few here that have kind of worked for me and things that I've adapted and started while I was in the McNair program that I never really did before, but they helped tremendously. So definitely get a planner, or if you're an online person and you like using that online calendar, I kind of did both. I liked definitely having things written in a planner ahead of time, but I mean, a planner can't remind you when things are due, and it's always weird to flip ahead, like weeks ahead, just to see what's due. So I like using the online version of calendars to help put in reminders for assignments literally weeks ahead before they're even due. To just start on them, start a draft, start like just a basic like bullet outline of what you need to do. Like, I need to do this, I need to do that, and copy and pasting things from previous drafts just to put them in there so you have like something saved in there, and then it already feels like you have 50% of it done, and it makes it easier to actually kind of finish that project, a week later, 2 weeks later when it's closer to being due. So that definitely helped. In regards to like the lit reviews or later when you're writing the manuscript, I really preferred paper copies, especially for articles or doing my own kind of revisions, because it also makes me read out loud, which is just a personal thing, but I really prefer paper copies and marking those up. So especially for like the lit reviews and writing an annotated bib, I mean, personal preference on printing that much paper, but I think on the ones that I wanted to spend more time with, that I knew I didn't want to skim, I would print out and I would mark those up, and I would highlight things and be like, this is important and this is important and this is important. And then later with some of my drafts, I would print them out and read it aloud, or you can just read it aloud on your computer and stuff. That definitely helps. Just hearing how it sounds helps with kind of the language and how you want things to sound. Um, in addition, with drafts, especially more important as you're getting into writing the lit review and especially that manuscript, keep all the past drafts. Let's say you've written something and you turn it into your mentor, or you turn it into McNair. Once you get those revisions back, make a whole new copy and make those revisions to that copy. Because there were definitely times where I went back to old copies and old drafts from like the beginning of the manuscript to be like, this sentence I actually really liked, I don't know why I took this out, I'm going to reword it and it's going to fit perfectly. So there's sometimes where you need some of those past drafts to kind of be put into more of your final copies of your manuscript. In addition, what really helped with the manuscript, I just kept finding articles upon articles to put into my lit review, and later when I needed to put them into my manuscript, I would really put effort into that annotated bibliography. And I don't know what they're requiring this year. I think we only had 20 when I was doing it, but I only turned in 20 when I originally did it. But I kept using like RefWorks especially, or I would keep putting them into the annotated bib section of just what is this and what information can I find, because I just kept going back and referencing so much when I was writing the literature review and when I was writing my manuscript and comparing my results to things that was done in previous research. To be successful, I think you really need to find a mentor that you click with. I know that can be challenging. I myself took literally half of the semester to find a mentor, so I think it's totally fine if it takes you time to find that mentor. But even though my mentor wasn't specifically in the field that I was looking into, they had a lot of experience with the type of research I was doing, and they had an outside perspective to something that I was more familiar with. So they were learning stuff as I was writing, and if it wasn't making sense to them, it wouldn't make sense to anyone else. So it was a good kind of outside perspective to have someone that's not familiar with what you're doing, but familiar with how the research should be done. That really helps. Um, and then really try to limit the procrastination. I'm super bad at it. I know I am, I still am with certain things, but I really try to implement that method of starting something before it's supposed to be due, like weeks before, and just doing that basic outline. and it feels so much easier to complete because when I go in and I have a blank slate, it feels like there's so much to do, and I feel like it takes me longer mentally to just get into the headspace and to complete something. So I think that can definitely help. And then lastly, just keep Pepper and Krista in the loop. They're gonna help you out so much. You really need to be in contact with your mentor more. I understand that, but if things aren't going well with your mentor for whatever reason, or you need, um, you know, an extension on something, let them know sooner rather than later. Let them know what's going on with you. Let the GAs know what's going on with you, and then that way they know that like out of the blue something's happening with you, which is still totally fine. But that way they know that like, okay, we can plan for this now that you've let us know. Let's figure out a plan to get stuff in and get stuff done. And that's just kind of tips and tricks and things I think that will help you be successful in your time as McNair.